Mike Tyson made $400 million, then filed for bankruptcy with $38 in his bank account. In January 2004, his monthly income was $38.38, but his expenses that month were $407,000. He was 37 years old, living in a rented house in Phoenix with $1,250 to his name. The Connecticut mansion was already gone. The one with the nightclub, the shooting range, the indoor basketball court. He sold it to rapper 50 Cent for $4.4 million. He had paid $2.8 million in 1996 and spent millions more after that. 50 Cent later said it cost him $70,000 a month just to keep the lights on. The man who earned it all filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, carrying $38 million in debt. Mike Tyson grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn. By 13, he had been arrested 38 times. He ended up at the Tryon School for Boys in upstate New York, where a counselor named Bobby Stewart put him in front of a trainer named Cus D'Amato. D'Amato had built 2 world champions and spent a decade blacklisted from the sport for refusing to deal with the corrupt International Boxing Club. By the time Tyson arrived, D'Amato was running a gym out of a house in Catskill, New York. He became Tyson's legal guardian after Tyson's mother died in 1982. What D'Amato built was not just a fighting style. He used hypnosis on Tyson at 13. The message, repeated until it stuck: "You are only the task. Everything else does not exist." D'Amato died of pneumonia on November 4, 1985. Tyson was 19. 14 months later, Tyson knocked out Trevor Berbick in 2 rounds and became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. He was 20 years and 4 months old. By 1988, he had collected every major belt, had not lost a professional fight, and was making $30 million a night. His name alone sold out arenas. The brand was untouchable. D'Amato was not there to see any of it. When Tyson's manager, Jimmy Jacobs, died in 1988, Don King moved in. King had served time for manslaughter. He was the most powerful promoter in the sport, and Tyson, by his own attorney's account, could not read or understand the contracts he was signing. King knew this and built the arrangement accordingly. The first sign that the Tyson brand was fragile became apparent in Tokyo. February 11, 1990. Tyson was a 42-1 favorite against James Douglas. Douglas had lost his mother 10 days before the fight. By multiple accounts, Tyson spent the lead-up in his hotel suite, not preparing. Douglas knocked him down in the 8th round and stopped him in the 10th. It was the first time Tyson had ever been in real trouble. He had no answer for it. That loss did not just end a winning streak. It ended the idea that Mike Tyson was a force of nature rather than a fighter. Once that idea was gone, the $30 million nights got harder to justify. His next 4 fights after Douglas drew a fraction of what the undefeated Tyson had commanded. The invincibility was the asset. Tokyo sold it for nothing. Tyson's rape conviction in 1992 carried a 6-year sentence, 4 suspended. He served 3 years and walked out of the Indiana Youth Center in March 1995. Don King was waiting, and the spending started that same day. In the 3 years after his release, Tyson burned through money at a pace that is difficult to fully account for. He gave himself a monthly allowance of $240,000, which his staff called walking around money. He bought 2 Bengal tigers for $70,000 each and spent $200,000 a year feeding them. He owned more than 1,000 racing pigeons, each $3,000 per bird. He later said he could identify most of them by sight. He spent $4.5 million on cars, most of which he gave away. He spent $100,000 a month on jewelry and accessories and owned multiple mansions, including a Connecticut home with 38 bathrooms. His 30th birthday party cost $410,000. He celebrated it with Donald Trump, Oprah Winfrey, 13 private chefs, and 19 lady suitors, as he called them. He flew out all of his friends and put them up in a hotel nearby. They couldn't stay in his house because the 19 bedrooms were reserved for all the lady suitors he planned on bedding. For his first wife, actress Robin Givens, he commissioned a 24-karat gold bathtub. It cost $2.2 million. When the marriage ended in 1989 after 1 year, he sold it for $1.2 million. That bathtub lost $6,000 in value every single day it existed. What Tyson did not know, through all of it, was that Don King was running a separate set of numbers. Hidden revenue from international broadcast rights, manipulated contract terms, and money pulled from fight purses across more than a decade. Tyson could not read the contracts. King had designed a system that did not require him to. By 1998, Tyson was filing sworn affidavits describing himself as financially distressed. That same year, he sued King for $100 million. The complaint laid it out directly: a fighter who could not read contracts and a promoter who exploited it for over 10 years. The case settled in 2004 for $14 million. Tyson received nothing. Every dollar went to his creditors. The IRS had become his largest creditor by then. The federal tax debt alone was $19.4 million. He owed his second ex-wife, Monica Turner, $9 million from their divorce. His creditor list ran to 246 separate accounts. His former trainer sued for $800,000. His psychiatrist sued for $29,000 in unpaid sessions. The bankruptcy court approved a repayment plan. 7 more fights over 3 years to clear the debt. In January 2004, his bank statement showed $38. Cus D'Amato died before Tyson won his first title. Every contract, every purse, every financial decision across the next 18 years happened without the one person who had ever thought about protecting him. The fortune did not collapse. It was simply never defended.